Alright, huge movie fanatic Nate coming back with one of my newfangled but already famous random reviews about I bet you never had knew what the hell video was going up today review. And this is basically, I'm just reviewing these movies because I recently bought them or recently watched them. And this one I watched 3 movies last night just because it was kind of a stormy day and kind of cool. It's actually been kind of cool for July, and it's kind of, I don't know, I kind of don't mind it because it's not all humid. But at the same time, it's like, well, you know, it can be not humid all winter. I don't know. I'm torn because the nights are so nice and cool. But if there's no sun, it's not particularly even warm enough to be at Lake Nate or any other lake. I'm here now to review Tin Men, which I got for $2. At Half Price Books clearance rolly rack. And of course this came out I think in the late 80s, and of course this cover I'd seen, you know, ever since it came out on video, and I'd constantly see that cover in video stores, and it was just, I don't know, I kind of liked the cover just with the old cars creeping into the shot and stuff. And this is one that I remember my dad showing interest in because obviously the era in the cars and stuff. So I'd never seen it, and you know, I like Richard Dreyfuss. You know, what the hell? You know, he's obviously kind of since disappeared and stuff, but whatever. And I don't hate Danny DeVito, and I like Barbara Hershey, and it's interesting. She's kind of like a sexy, or kind of was like a sexy kind of a woman, and they kind of made her, it's interesting that you wouldn't really even necessarily know it. They kind of made her like just a homebody. But I watched some of my other reviews, and it was kind of annoying when I kept looking at the box, so maybe I won't look at the box, because I was like, I was constantly, in these other reviews, I was like, ugh. I put the box down and then I'd be like, ugh. So I'm just gonna drop the box there. So Tin Men, I didn't know what it was about. Personally, I don't like to. I have this urge to grab the box. Personally, I don't like to read the back of the boxes because a lot of times they can reveal way too much, like super way too much, you know. And to be honest, I just like, you know, I'll buy a $2 movie based on the actors and just the cover, and well, it looks like it takes place in the old days, it's a period movie, and that's it, $2, okay, I'll buy it, you know. I mean, what's his name's in it, you know, Richard Dreyfuss, who I kind of like and miss, you know, miss seeing these days and stuff. So, I mean, first of all, I started it, and it was like, oh, cool, you know, and I was really taken by it, really, and it stars this guy who played, you know, I just reviewed, Say Anything, and the guy who plays that girl's dad in the movie is in this too, like right around the same time. I think he was the guy, I'm not sure, it seems to me like, I don't know, was he the guy from Barton Fink? I can't remember, I haven't seen that for a long time, but I liked that a lot when it first came out. But I think it's the guy from who goes on and ends up to be in Barton Fink as well. Who's a good, I like him, and he does some good stuff. But this is, let me say first of all, that Tin Men, I like period movies, and I kind of like, well, the 60s, I kind of like the first half of the 20th century, so once you get into the 60s and stuff, I'm not, you know, so keen on, you know, that as much, but it's kind of cool still, and it's, you know, it's got cars from the, oops, I'm not going to look in that direction, that's just kind of annoying when I watched it back, so, just pretend the box ain't there. So, you know, like I say, the first half of the 20th century is more my favorite era, but, you know, whatever. Because, first thing that I have to say is the production design on this movie. Holy Hannah. I mean, you're watching it and it's like, it feels like you got in a DeLorean and just went back to I can't remember the exact year, 63. It's like DeLorean you back right to 1963, and oh my gosh, just the little subtle whatevers and the clothes, and there was some big, you could tell it's, you know, a decent budget because there were some pretty big shots of like the roads, you know, and just think of all the trouble when you have the big shots of roads, you have to have period cars driving, and all the people in period clothes and period store signs and period, oh. So that's the thing that I want to say first, is it's just like the production design, it really puts you there. And I think the opening credits are kind of like what quiz show would end up starting with, like this, you know, this brand new Cadillac. I don't know if it's a Cadillac in Quiz Show, but it's a new car in the beginning of Quiz Show. So, you know, it starts with that, and it's doing this, and Richard Dreyfuss is like buying a new Cadillac because he's an aluminum siding salesman, and it's like everyone who works here has a Cadillac because they feel like if they drive a Cadillac, they seem like they're more trustworthy. So he's like the only one, or the last one to get a Cadillac or something, because you see when he goes to pull everyone every car parked there at this work got like a Cadillac. So the movie starts with him getting a new Cadillac, and he backs right out of the dealership, and Danny DeVito runs right into him, and that kind of starts the whole problem, which I'm not going to obviously scene for scene tell you what the whole movie is, but it's like that starts the movie long, basically 100 and whatever it is, 108 minute long volley back and forth of just, you know, Danny DeVito versus Richard Dreyfuss, and I was really kind of taken by this movie. I'm going to go 3.5 stars for Tin Man. It had this great charm that, like I say, I don't think a lot of movies necessarily, of course I don't see a lot of new movies, but I don't know, I guess out of the ones I see, it has a charm that a lot of the ones that current movies that I see don't have by a long shot, unless of course it's the way back. And the scenario is just kind of like, you know, it was one of these things that was like kind of cool, and then it was like, you know, it stayed at this level, it was just like cool. And I was kind of, when I was watching it, I was on the three-star range. And then the way it ended, which I won't, it's not a big deal, I'm not going to tell you just because you should watch it. The way it ended was kind of cool. I guess I can briefly say that, you know, Danny DeVito and Richard Dreyfuss were kind of at war through the whole movie, and just, they were both tin men. They were both guys, aluminum siding salesmen, and worked for different outfits, and just by chance, which was kind of cool. And they both ended up like the same moment, just by chance, like one of them kind of quit, and one of them got, you know, their licenses taken away right at the end of the movie. And Danny DeVito's character just, you know, goes through like a divorce, he loses everything in this movie. It's weird, and like Richard Dreyfuss gains like his wife. It's just weird, and you know, but like I say, the ending was just like, because the whole movie I was like 3 stars, and then the ending was so unexpected. Not that it was a big deal, I just thought it was a better ending than I was expecting, and it was just like, oh, they kind of ended up at the same place at the same time. And you know, the another movie with a fucking IRS in it, but the IRS takes Danny DeVito's car, and Richard Dreyfuss gives him a ride, and that's how the movie ends. And it's just like, I don't know, it's almost like they just lost they lost the desire to fight, and it's just like, hell with it, you know. So 3.5 stars for Tin Men. It was, like I say, it was a cover that I'd seen for years and years and years and years at the video store back when there were video stores, and I just, you know, as a kid wasn't particularly interested in it, but now, because it's like something that I saw on the shelves when I was a kid, it was kind of like, oh, let's check this out, like, you know, never having seen it for $2. I mean, duh. So thank you very much. I guess that's pretty much does it. Thank you very much for watching. And oh, there's this really funny bit where there's a lot of cool but shitty, because I don't really like salesmen personally myself, and the whole, you know, I don't think it's respectful, obviously, to talk someone into buying something. I don't think, you know, if someone wants to buy something, they can go seek it out and buy it. But I don't like the whole, personally, I morally don't like the whole talking people into buying shit. I think it's just bullshit, you know. And that's one thing I hate about like the whole corporate bullshit, you know. But there's this one funny scam thing that they did with Richard Dreyfuss and the guy from Say Anything, where it's like they set up okay, let's do the Life magazine ploy or whatever. So they set up the camera on this woman's yard with pointing at a house that doesn't have this aluminum siding on it, and it's like all paint's coming off the wood and stuff, and it's like she comes out, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Oh, we're for with Life magazine. We're doing a story on, you know, aluminum siding and how much better your house looks with it, and we need a before picture." And oh man, it's just, it's funny and it's just shitty at the same time, you know. And she's like, "And you're gonna use my house for the before?" And it's just like, well, yeah, I mean, you don't have aluminum siding on your mosquito on your eye. And she's like, "Well, couldn't you, you know, use my house as the after?" And it's like, "Oh, you mean you want to get aluminum siding?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Yeah, how much would that cost?" And they're like, "God, I don't they're the frickin' aluminum siding guys," and they're like, "I don't know, you know, I guess you'd have to contact a, you know, aluminum siding guy." And oh my gosh, so that was kind of a funny scene that stuck out. But like I say, there's no way I could ever do that for a living myself and like myself, and I'd much rather like myself than not. So thank you very much for watching my Tin Men review. Definitely cool movie from like the late 80s, I believe. And I guess that pretty much does it. Thank you very much for watching.